company called John P. Young ran an advertisement for an experienced psychologist. And I thought, well, I'm one of them. Among the interviews that took place with that firm, one was conducted by a gentleman called Lloyd Smith. So we worked together really well for about 5 years. And one day, Lloyd came into my office and said, I think we should start a business.
The owner of the company came to me and said, Lloyd, I'm going to sell the business. Would you like to buy the Perth business? And I then pondered on it for a little while, and then I just went to Michael one day and said, hey, would you like to come to business?
And when we had initially taken the idea that two guys who at the time were working in West Perth would start this business, we wanted it to appear bigger than it was, more international than it was. And so we actually decided to follow the lead of law firms and accounting firms and use pronouns. But McAnearney and Smith wasn't going to do it, and Smith and McAnearney certainly wasn't going to do it. So we chose our middle names, and my middle name was Gerard, and Lloyd's is Daniel. So it was Gerard Daniels Australia from day one, because back then, executive search was not an expression that people were familiar with. And so that focus on helping to build teams was a key starter for us in 1986.
And we had a few lucky breaks with some really interesting and what came to be loyal clients from day one. And some of those people are still with us today.
I think key to that success has been to put ourselves in the shoes of the people that we are approaching or considering for roles, and taking a view that if we think about what is in their best interests, that we are likely to serve everybody's interests well. And that's a fairly unique dimension when you're in the executive search and recruitment business, to think of the benefits and the needs and the important characteristics that individuals are looking for when they're making a transition. Next huge milestone was definitely the decision to move internationally, and that has been one with profound impact.
So instead of going down to Sydney or Melbourne, no, what we decided to do was to go to London and Houston. Now, there was a logic to that in the sense that it was mining, oil and gas connecting together around the globe, and Perth had started to become much more international and, if you like, much more noticeable on the world map as a place for doing business, particularly around those commodities. Important for us in terms of being able to be global. It allowed us to have an opportunity to find candidates and opportunities on a broader scale. In those early years, one of the clients that I was working with was a faith-based organisation. We were talking one day about values, and they were talking about their values, which I knew back to front, and because I've been working with them. And then I wondered what values were, and she sat down with me one day and said, Lloyd, when we're all dead and gone, all that are going to be left are our values. And anybody can look at those values and make a decision as to make the right decision for an organisation, whether the boss is there or not. And so for me, that's when values came alive and they became that DNA. And then we went through a process as a firm and developed our values.
But there are words like trust, tenacity, openness, passion, diligence, caring, but they mean whatever they mean for you as a person.
No organisation can continue to be successful if it doesn't have a good culture internally, but equally you then take that culture and work at it externally as well. And so you simply extend yourself as an organisation to say, well, if we believe in these values and here's what our culture's like, and part of it's, passion is one of them, and if you've got a passion to do something, whether it's, and many of our staff sit on committees, and particularly around some of the not-for-profits, they've got a passion for doing it. That's something we encourage. And if they can take that passion and those values and that culture into those organisations, even better.